All right, ladies and gentlemen, MrSotko here. Welcome back to the channel. Got a whole bunch of good crypto news stuff for you today. And the first thing I want to talk about is another, oh boy, what did Craig Wright do now? And no, not the Craig Wright versus Kleiman lawsuit, because that one was supposed to occur in early January of 2021, but maybe Corona delayed it. There's absolutely no news on it. Nope, we're talking about the libel lawsuit between both Peter McCormack and Hodlnaut. On Twitter, both of them claimed that Dr. Craig Wright was indeed not Satoshi. Dr. Craig Wright did not like that very much and filed a lawsuit against them, which was overturned and denied in England to file the lawsuit against Hodlnaut, however, which has since been overturned. So Dr. Craig Wright won a landmark ruling against the Twitter user Hodlnaut and his ongoing defamation lawsuit, meaning the action could proceed in England. The ruling concerns an appeal by Dr. Wright to overturn an earlier decision in which a high court judge declined jurisdiction to hear his defamation case against the Norway-based Twitter user Hodlnaut. Hodlnaut tweeted several accusations that Dr. Wright fraudulently claimed to be Satoshi Nakamoto, eventually leading Wright to launch defamation proceedings in England. So Wright's lawsuit against Hodlnaut was initially dismissed in the English High Court under Article 27 of the Lugano Convention, which is designed to avoid irreconcilable judgments between two jurisdictions concerning the same cause of action and between the same parties. So on January 15th, 2021, the English Court of Appeal overturned the High Court ruling, saying that the finding of the High Court judge, the application of the Article 27, rests on whether there is potential for reconcilable judgments, was incorrect. So the standard used by the English Court of Appeal is high, I'm sure it is, requiring that the cause of action in both jurisdictions mirror one another rather than having a substantial commonality or overlap. However, in the absence of the UK obtaining permission to accede to the Lugano Convention, the end of the Brexit transition period means that the Lugano Convention will no longer apply to proceedings in the UK, except for those proceedings launched before the end of the transition period. So the decision is a win for Wright, who can now proceed in England, irrespective of Hodlnaut's action in Norway. If the conduct of the case of Wright versus McCormack is anything to go by, Hodlnaut is unlikely to successfully defend the claim, the article says. This is a developing story, and if Wright wins, then that means Hodlnaut will have to pay Dr. Wright in legal fees, which is estimated to be north of $250,000. So also, Peter McCormack is in a libel suit with him as well, because both of them claim that he was not Satoshi Nakamoto. However, I really don't feel, I don't understand how anybody could lose this case against Craig Wright, because I think proving that you're Satoshi Nakamoto is virtually impossible. There's a number of reasons for that, and we probably won't go into all of them, but I do want to talk about that for a second. To prove that you're Satoshi Nakamoto is borderline impossible, even if you were Satoshi Nakamoto. Like, how would you do that? Now, one could argue that you could move some of the original blocks of Bitcoin, and you could move some of the coin in it, and then you would go, oh, okay, that's Satoshi because those are some of the original blocks. But that doesn't necessarily prove that anybody is Satoshi Nakamoto. I could have mined Bitcoin in early 2009, then move some coin and claim I'm Satoshi. But does that mean I'm Satoshi? It really doesn't. In fact, a lot of people believe that Satoshi Nakamoto has 1 to 1.1 million Bitcoin that he mined that was never moved. I think it's likely that Satoshi Nakamoto is dead. I think he passed away a long time ago. I think it might have been Hal Finney or something like that. I know everybody can argue on who they think Satoshi is, but there is a good chance that he is no longer with us. However, those 1 million Bitcoin are estimated to be Satoshis, not necessarily him, because you cannot, if I mine a fresh block of Bitcoin, you don't actually know who mined that block, unless I mined it to a key that, or like a public key or a public wallet that you knew was mine, right? If I mined it to a fresh wallet, you couldn't in no way, shape, or form actually connect me to that. Without me just blatantly moving it and moving it to a KYC or something like that. So we don't actually know if just remember that nobody actually knows for sure if how much Satoshi actually mined. So it's basically impossible. I think if Satoshi even came out now and was like, "Oh yeah, I'm Satoshi. Like I'm moving some of the original blocks," it would even be hard to believe that person, just because again, it was never proved that that Satoshi mined that in the first place. So it's very difficult to claim that you're actually Satoshi, even if you had a bunch of old files or something like that. It would require an unbelievable amount of evidence, in which Craig Wright typically just is not providing, particularly to the other case with the Kleiman estate. A lot of it appears to be pretty shady, to be totally honest. But moving on here. So this is an older article. This is from December 8th. However, it definitely goes hand in hand with the other article. Peter McCormick confirms that Craig Wright provided crazy amount of evidence he is Satoshi as trial date set. The UK High Court set a trial date for the Wright versus McCormick libel case. The trial will begin on February 16th, 2021. I'll make sure to get in on that too, to see what Craig Wright does now. The trial was originally scheduled for May 4th, 2021, but there was a request by Wright's lawyers to expedite that. While this trial is set to run for 2 days, a hot 2 days, Wright's lawyers are expected to revive an application for summary judgment that was rejected 2 weeks ago due to paperwork error. Granting that application would have ultimately ended the suit with Wright, the victorious party, but the parties may now correct the error and try again on February 16th, meaning we may not see the case go to trial at all. This would be a shame because Peter McCormick confirmed on Twitter that Wright submitted a crazy amount of evidence that he is indeed Satoshi Nakamoto. So he says on Twitter, Craig Wright submitted a crazy amount of evidence that he is Satoshi in my lawsuit. What's your point? And then Tone Vase, I guess, says, clearly you have not been watching the hearings. I watched Michigan yesterday and plan to watch Georgia today. There's a crazy amount of evidence if you care to listen to the hearings. So crazy amount of evidence. I've been following the case between Craig Wright and Kleiman estate. And a lot of that evidence is just totally circumstantial nonsense, to be totally honest. In fact, a lot of those private keys that Craig Wright claimed to own as part of the Satoshi Million was moved or was signed by somebody else, several of those. So obviously he's just shooting into the wind here and hoping that he gets something and that it would be considered his. But the problem is anybody can go in the Bitcoin block explorer and they can go all the way back to the first blocks. You can literally go all the way back to the first block. And then you could go forward from there and just cherry pick 1 million Bitcoin that happen to still be sitting in wallets. That's possible. That's not hard to do. Within a couple years worth of the blockchain, you could easily find probably 1 million Bitcoin and then just write them all on a list and say, look, these are mine. But that doesn't mean that they're yours. You don't have the private keys for them. You just looked up the public keys for them. There was a lot of things. A lot of his documents were claimed to be forged by the other party and by experts, etc. So a lot of evidence, but that doesn't mean anything if it's just a lot of nonsense. That much could be inferred by Tether's sudden withdrawal of support from McCormick after discovery hadn't concluded in the case. But seeing this tweet from McCormick reinforces that the trial would have been a greater opportunity for this evidence to be brought into the open. This is apparently not the interest of either Tether or McCormick, who now seem to be done with calling Wright a liar. So I don't know about him being done. I don't see where that says. I'm not sure who wrote the article, and I'm not sure where it says that he is done calling Craig Wright a liar. I don't know how you can lose this lawsuit. If Craig Wright took you to court and he says, hey, look, this guy called me a fraud. I'm Satoshi Nakamoto. I'm not a fraud. So then as a judge, you would have to say, okay, prove that you are not a fraud, prove that you are Satoshi. And just giving a bunch of random public keys and some random old documents and the Tulip Trust and stuff like that, that is not being Satoshi Nakamoto. Again, it's very, very, very difficult. Even if I was Satoshi Nakamoto, I would find it very difficult to prove to the world that I am Satoshi Nakamoto. Because it was so many years ago, so many documents lost, so many logins, so many everything lost, that how are you going to prove it? And by this point, so many people have tried to come forward, falsely claiming that they're Satoshi, that it would be even more difficult for you to prove it. So I truly don't know how you prove that you are Satoshi Nakamoto. I don't think anybody will ever prove that anybody is Satoshi Nakamoto. Who knows? Maybe way in the future. But again, in providing all that random evidence to a judge, on one end, you might be able to convince the judge because the judge might not know a lot about cryptocurrency and encryption and online anonymity, etc. But on the other end, it's just not full evidence that it is actually you. So therefore, the case would just have to be dismissed because you're claiming to be somebody that you truly can't prove that you are. So therefore, it's not libel. If it's untrue, it's libel. If it's true, it's not libel. And if it can't be proven either way, how can it be libel? I don't know. Moving on here, Goldman Sachs to enter crypto markets soon with custody play source. So Goldman, JP Morgan, and Citi are all said to be looking into crypto custody. U.S. banking powerhouse Goldman Sachs has issued a request for information to explore digital asset custody, according to a source inside the bank. When asked about timing, the Goldman source said the bank's custody plans would be evident soon. Goldman's digital asset custody RFI was circulated to at least one well-known crypto custody player towards the end of 2020. Like JP Morgan, we have issued an RFI looking at digital custody. We are broadly exploring digital custody and deciding what the next step is, said Goldman source, who asked not to be renamed. Goldman insider said the bank's digital assets initiative was part of a broader digital strategy, citing stablecoins in relation to recent missives from the U.S. Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. A tectonic shift took place in the world of crypto custody this week. Anchorage attained conditional approval from the OCC to become a national digital bank and unequivocally meet the definition of qualified custodian in the process. So a San Francisco-based Anchorage is going to be the first crypto bank. Although I believe that Kraken also got a banking charter as well, but perhaps they have just not really put that to use yet. So the bank Anchorage president Diogo Monica, I got nothing, said in an interview, this regulatory approval will invite many large and risk-averse institutional players into crypto. When asked about JP Morgan, Goldman, and Citi, the three big U.S. banks are watching relation in crypto custody. Monica said, we're all talking to these guys. There have been chatter about Goldman perhaps offering something akin to prime brokerage services involving crypto. However, Goldman insider said the bank is looking at custody but not prime brokerage. Anchorage, BitGo, and Coinbase have quite grand plans in crypto prime brokerage, and we would not be looking to duplicate those, said the Goldman source. So, yeah, many banks probably getting into crypto now. They should have years ago, but it is coming sooner or later. Now, a little short but sweet. Kraken, finally, to halt XRP trading for U.S. residents. So I called this one weeks ago that I figured Kraken would be next. It actually took a lot longer than I thought they would, surprisingly. So citing the SEC lawsuit, Ripple Labs cryptocurrency exchange Kraken announced it's halting trading of the XRP token for U.S. residents. So Kraken is a U.S. crypto exchange. However, there's Europeans and Asians can still get on, and various other continents and areas can get onto Kraken as well. So the halt, which goes into effect January 30th at 1 a.m. UTC, only affects Kraken clients residing in the U.S. Those residing elsewhere will be unaffected. With the halt, Kraken becomes the latest exchange to suspend or end trading in XRP, the cryptocurrency at the heart of the SEC lawsuit against Ripple Labs, claiming the token is really a security. So Kraken finally makes its way to the suspension, although only for U.S. customers, so not too bad. Moving on here, Polkadot flips XRP to become the fourth largest cryptocurrency. So I think it did this earlier, I think a week or two ago, but it only lasted for like a day. But now Polkadot is way above XRP. Polkadot's price has increased about 60% in the past week. XRP's dropped about 9% in the past week. Polkadot today overtook XRP in market cap size from 13.2 billion to 12.8 billion. Polkadot's price surge continues. The protocol's native DOT token is now trading for 1466, a cool 1466, after experiencing a nearly 60% rise over the last week. Just 2 days ago, its market cap was pushed past 10 billion for the first time. Now, according to the data, it's past 13 billion with a market cap of 13.2 billion. Polkadot currently is the fourth largest crypto by market cap after Bitcoin of 696 billion, etc., etc. So looking at this, we do see about $15.3 billion market cap for Polkadot, and XRP down to $12.6 billion. So this SEC lawsuit hitting XRP something pretty hard. Now the lawsuit obviously hasn't occurred yet, but that FUD, that fear right now, a lot of exchanges delisting or suspending. Grayscale has liquidated its XRP trust. But once again, my thoughts on the XRP SEC lawsuit is that I think they will likely defend themselves properly, and it will be found to be a currency, as a lot of other nations around the world feel that XRP is a currency and not a security. U.S. laws around securities are very strict. However, if they found Ethereum to not be a security and to be a currency, I feel like XRP would be considered to be a currency as well. And if that lawsuit occurs and the SEC loses and Ripple wins, we'll see a big explosion in XRP. I wouldn't be surprised at $1 XRP. Now I don't mean to be shilling the price here, but I would not be surprised at that. More likely, I would be less surprised, obviously, like at 70 cents or something like that. I think it would be very quick, within a few days, maybe even like a week. Because basically there would be many exchanges that would relist or unsuspend XRP. Grayscale may consider buying back XRP. And then many investors who have fled out of fear and put their money elsewhere for now just so that they don't lose it will all pour it right back into XRP. So we would see 60, 70 cents plus very, very fast, in my opinion. Considering it is really low right now, it's been consistently down. If it goes up in price at all, it's definitely pretty big profit in that sense. I think it can easily double or triple within a week or two of the SEC lawsuit failing. So that's all I have for you guys today. Make sure you enjoy and like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. But as usual, I'll see you guys next time.